You know what's crazy? Some seniors in their 80s are still hiking up mountains, lifting weights in their garages, and living completely independently. That's not luck or good genes. That's the intention. Most folks assume that getting older means getting weaker, but that's not always true. Some people have discovered one simple daily habit that keeps their muscles young and strong. It's easy to overlook, even by doctors. But today, we will talk about how you can do it too. Let me ask you something. Have you ever stood up from a chair and felt like your legs just weren't there for you anymore? That's not just aging. That's muscle loss. By the time we hit 80, we can lose up to half of our muscle mass. But here's the good news. It's not set in stone. Scientists from Harvard and the Mayo Clinic have found simple, daily habits that can help rebuild strength and help you stay independent. Let's be honest. As we get older, simple things start to feel harder. Climbing stairs, getting out of bed, or even just standing up from a chair can feel like a workout. That's not your fault. It's muscle loss, and it happens quietly. The real problem is most people don't even know it's happening until they fall or feel too weak to do the things they used to enjoy. But here's the part that surprises people. Muscle loss isn't just something you have to accept. With the right habits, it can be reversed. I've seen it happen. I've seen folks in their 70s turn things around. So today, we're talking about what works. And trust me, it's not as complicated as you might think. Let me tell you something that might sound a little strange at first. Sometimes the key to getting stronger is putting a little bit of stress on your body. But not just any stress. I'm talking about small, controlled stressors, what scientists call hormetic stress. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. When you challenge your body just a bit, it responds by getting stronger. That's exactly what we want, especially as we get older. Think about things like taking a short cold shower or sitting in a warm sauna. These might seem like minor discomforts, but they send powerful signals to your body. Cold exposure, even just 30 seconds at the end of your shower, can activate brown fat and release hormones that help protect your muscles. Saunas have been shown to reduce muscle loss over time and improve circulation. That's not just relaxation. That's real science working in your favor. Then there's intermittent fasting. Now, I know the idea of skipping meals doesn't sound appealing, especially if you grew up being told breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But research shows that giving your body a break from constant digestion helps it clear out damaged cells, including muscle cells, and makes room for healthier, stronger ones to grow. A simple 12-hour eating window, like finishing dinner by 7 p.m. and not eating again until 7 a.m., can be enough to start this process. And let's not forget isometric exercises. These are movements where you push or hold your muscles without actually moving your joints. For example, pressing your hands together hard for 10 seconds or pushing against a wall. It may not look like much, but it tells your muscles, hey, wake up, stay strong. And it works, especially for those who might have joint issues and can't do high-impact workouts. One of my clients, Dave, started doing short bursts of these practices every day. Cold rinse after a shower, a little fasting a few times a week, and holding a squat against the wall for 10 seconds. He's in his 70s and told me last month that his legs haven't felt this steady in years. That's what these small stresses do. They don't break you down. They build you up. So here's the takeaway. You don't need an expensive gym membership or fancy supplements to get stronger. Sometimes, all it takes is a little discomfort, a little challenge, and a little consistency. These are things you can do right at home with no equipment. And the benefits? Better circulation, improved muscle retention, faster recovery, and more energy. Over time, they compound. One small decision a day can change how your body feels next month, next year, or even a decade from now. So why not give your body a reason to get stronger today? Let's talk about protein. Most people know it's important, especially as we get older. But here's the part that surprises a lot of folks. It's not just how much protein you eat. It's when you eat it that makes a real difference. Our bodies change with age. We don't process or use protein as efficiently as we used to in our younger years. That means we need to be a little more intentional about how we get it into our system. A lot of the seniors I meet tend to skip breakfast or grab something light like toast or coffee. Then they eat a big dinner with all their protein in one shot. Sound familiar? Well, the problem with that is your body misses the chance to build and repair muscle earlier in the day. Muscle synthesis, the process of building new muscle, only happens for a few hours after you eat protein. If you only eat a lot of it at night, you're not giving your body a fair shot at staying strong throughout the day. Studies have shown that spreading your protein out, say 25 to 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, helps older adults build more muscle than just eating it all at once. For example, start your day with 2 eggs and a piece of whole grain toast with peanut butter. Or try a smoothie with Greek yogurt, berries, and a little protein powder. That gives your muscles what they need to start the day strong. One man I worked with, Bob, used to eat almost nothing until dinner time. Once he switched to spreading his protein across the day, he told me he felt steadier on his feet and had more energy for walks with his wife. It didn't take a drastic change, just a more balanced routine. And no, this doesn't mean you have to eat like a bodybuilder. You just need to be consistent and thoughtful. Add chicken or beans to your lunch. Include fish or lentils at dinner. If you're vegetarian, use nuts, tofu, or eggs. What matters most is keeping it steady, not stacking it all into one meal. So here's the big takeaway. Timing matters. And when you give your muscles protein at the right time, they'll reward you with strength, energy, and better movement. Let's take a minute to talk about something you might not think about every day, vitamin D. Most of us grew up hearing that it's good for bones. And that's true. But what many people don't realize is that vitamin D is also essential for muscle health. It helps activate the genes that build and maintain muscle tissue. Without enough of it, your body simply can't function at its best. Now here's the kicker. As we age, our ability to produce vitamin D naturally goes down. Even if you're outside in the sun every day, your skin might only make half of what it used to when you were younger. And if you live in a place that's cloudy, cold, or you wear sunscreen often, that number can drop even further. So what happens when you're low on vitamin D? You might feel weak. Your balance can suffer. You might notice more aches and pains in your muscles, or even feel more fatigued than usual. I had one client who thought she was just getting old. Turns out, her vitamin D was way below the recommended level. After a few months of proper supplementation, she felt steadier on her feet, more energized, and more in control of her movements. Research backs this up. Seniors with adequate vitamin D levels show 25% more muscle strength compared to those with deficiencies. They also tend to have better coordination and fewer falls. And when combined with vitamin K2, which helps direct calcium to your bones instead of your arteries, the results are even better for overall strength and bone health. So, how do you know if you're getting enough? The best way is a simple blood test. It's quick, easy, and tells you exactly where you stand. Most older adults need somewhere between 2,000 to 4,000 international units of vitamin D per day, especially during the winter months. Some get it from fatty fish like salmon or sardines, while others rely on supplements, which is perfectly fine as long as it's paired with K2. The good news is that optimizing your vitamin D is one of the easiest changes you can make. It's affordable, it's accessible, and the impact on your strength and quality of life can be huge. So if you haven't checked your levels lately, now might be a good time. Your muscles will thank you. And don't forget about sunlight. Even 10 to 15 minutes of midday sun exposure, when safe, can help. Roll up your sleeves, step outside, and let your skin soak in a little natural energy. Every bit helps when it comes to keeping your body strong, steady, and supported. Let's talk about something you can't see, but it affects almost everything inside your body, especially your muscles. It's called inflammation. More specifically, chronic low-grade inflammation. Doctors and researchers sometimes call it inflammaging because it tends to creep in as we get older. It's like a slow burn happening under the surface, and it wears your muscles down little by little. Here's the deal. When you get a cut or a bruise, inflammation helps your body heal. That kind of inflammation is good. But the kind we're talking about here is different. It's the kind that sticks around even when there's no injury. It builds up because of things like poor sleep, stress, unhealthy foods, or even too much intense exercise without enough recovery time. Now, why does this matter for your strength? Because inflammation tells your body to break down tissue, including muscle, faster than it can rebuild. That means even if you're exercising or eating well, you might still be losing strength if inflammation is high. That's frustrating, right? But the good news is that it can be fixed. Let me share a story. I worked with a woman named Carol. She was 74 and active, but her knees were always sore and her energy was low. We looked at her habits. She was barely sleeping 5 hours a night, eating processed foods, and had no idea that her gut health was affecting her inflammation. Once she made a few changes, adding more fiber, eating fermented foods like yogurt and sauerkraut, and committing to a better bedtime routine, things shifted. Within a month, her pain eased, and she said she felt lighter just walking around. And she's not alone. Research shows that people who sleep 7 to 8 hours in total darkness have lower inflammatory markers. Those who eat 30 or more different plant foods a week have stronger gut bacteria, which reduces inflammation. Adding in omega-3 fatty acids from fish, flax seeds, or supplements can drop inflammation levels significantly. Even gentle movement, like walking or light stretching, can help as long as it's consistent and not overdone. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware. Inflammation is sneaky, but manageable. So check in with yourself. How's your sleep? Your stress? Your diet? Small tweaks can make a big difference. Your muscles are trying to hold on. Give them the right environment to do their job. You can even ask your doctor to run a simple blood test called CRP, which stands for C-reactive protein. It measures inflammation in your body. Many older adults with low CRP levels feel stronger, move more easily, and recover faster. It is one more tool to help you stay ahead of the curve and keep your strength for the long run. So, how do you know when a habit like daily masturbation is starting to cross a line? That's not always easy to answer because it often creeps in slowly. At first, it might just be something you do to relax. But over time, if you notice it's taking the place of other important parts of your life, that's a red flag worth paying attention to. Let me tell you about David. He's 58 and used to love Sunday dinners with his family. They were a highlight of his week. But gradually, he started skipping them. At first, he said he was just tired. Then he stopped answering calls from his daughter. Eventually, he realized he was spending most of his evenings alone, turning to masturbation to unwind. He hadn't meant to pull away from the people he loved, but that's what happened. This is not an uncommon story. When a habit starts interfering with your responsibilities, your relationships, or your sense of self-worth, it's time to stop and reflect. It's not just about how often you're doing it. It's about how it makes you feel afterward. Do you feel better or worse? Do you feel clear-minded or foggy? Do you feel empowered or out of control? Another sign is when the habit becomes something you feel you have to hide. Maybe you rush through it, hoping no one finds out. Maybe you feel ashamed afterward, but keep doing it anyway. Those feelings matter. They're signals. They're telling you something is off. The good news is recognizing the pattern is a powerful first step. You don't have to make dramatic changes overnight. But even just becoming aware that your habit might be affecting your life in unexpected ways can open the door to new choices. You can start by creating a little space. Try skipping a day. Notice how you feel. What comes up emotionally or mentally? What do you turn to instead? Sometimes people realize they've been using masturbation as a way to cope with deeper issues, stress, loneliness, anxiety, or even boredom. And once you see that, you can start addressing the root of the problem, not just the symptom. This is not about guilt. It's about growth. You deserve a life that feels whole and connected. And if one habit is starting to make your world smaller instead of bigger, it's okay to step back and ask why. That question alone can lead to healing. You're not broken. You're human. And you can shift any pattern that's no longer serving you. Remember, habits should support your life, not shrink it. Even small changes in routine can help you feel more in control, more alive, and more connected to what matters. So let's talk about balance. Because the goal here is not to say you have to quit masturbation completely. That's not realistic for most people, and honestly, it's not necessary unless it's harming your life. The real focus is on finding a healthy rhythm, one that fits into your life in a way that feels good, not compulsive. Think of your daily habits like ingredients in a recipe. If one flavor starts to overpower everything else, you lose the full experience. That's what can happen when one habit takes over too much of your time, energy, or emotional space. Instead of enhancing your life, it starts to shrink it. John, a man in his late 60s, realized this after a quiet conversation with his wife. He had gotten into a pattern of spending his evenings alone. Not because he didn't care about her, but because his habits had become automatic. He would finish dinner, head into the other room, and zone out. No real connection. No intention. Just routine. One night, his wife said, "I miss you." That hit him hard. Not because she was angry, but because she was right. John wasn't really showing up in his own life. So he made a choice. Not to stop everything, just to adjust. He started going for walks again. Picked up woodworking, something he hadn't done in years. And instead of retreating at night, he started sitting beside his wife. Talking, laughing, sharing again. That's what balance can look like. You still have room for solitude, for self-care, even for pleasure. But it's not the whole picture. It's just one part of a fuller, richer life. If you're wondering how to start, keep it simple. Set a small goal. Maybe you skip one day a week and try something new instead. Maybe you can call a friend or go outside for a bit. You're not replacing one habit with another just to stay busy. You're making space for other parts of yourself to grow. And if the idea of pulling back feels hard, that's okay too. Change takes time. Be kind to yourself in the process. No guilt, no shame, just small, thoughtful choices that slowly build a life you feel good about living. Remember, balance isn't about restriction. It's about expansion. It's about making sure that your habits serve your life, not the other way around. You're allowed to take up space in your own story, and you're allowed to rewrite that story starting today. Even the smallest shift in your day can open up possibilities you might not expect. So be curious, try, reflect, and know that balance is not a finish line. It is a way of moving through life with more intention and peace. Let's bring it all together with some wisdom from Dr. James. He's been a physician for decades and has talked with thousands of people about personal issues, including masturbation. And what he always says is this: it's not the act that's the problem. It's the context. Think about that for a second. It is not about whether you do it. It is about why you do it and how it fits into your life. He likes to compare it to dessert. You know, having a slice of pie now and then is a treat. It brings pleasure, comfort, but eating the whole pie every single day, that does not feel so good. Eventually, it takes a toll. Not because pie is evil, but because too much of anything can throw you out of balance. Dr. James often encourages people to take breaks, not because they have to, but because it gives the body and mind time to reset. And in that quiet space, people often rediscover things they were missing. Joy, connection, sensation, even creativity. He reminds his patients that the goal is not restriction, but rhythm. Life is about staying in tune with yourself, knowing when to lean in and when to step back. So if anything today made you pause, that is a good sign. That means you're listening, and that is where real change begins. So here's what we have learned. Masturbation is not something to be ashamed of. It is a natural part of being human. And when it is done mindfully, it can be a healthy way to connect with your body and relieve stress. But like any habit, it has the potential to take up too much space if we are not paying attention. What starts as comfort can sometimes become a way to avoid other parts of life. This conversation has not been about stopping. It has been about noticing. Noticing how your body feels, how your relationships are going, and what your emotional needs really are. Because when you are aware, you can make better choices. Choices that reflect the life you actually want. You deserve that kind of clarity. And it is never too late to start moving in that direction. If this video gave you something to think about, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find honest conversations like this one. And if you're feeling brave, share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who might need to hear your story. This space is all about learning, reflecting, and supporting each other. So if you want more real talk about real-life topics, make sure to subscribe. We're just getting started.